I'm Lizzie Harrison for Card Player TV, and today I'm here with Patrik Antonius to talk about heads-up cash games. How are you doing today, Patrik?
I'm pretty good. I just lost my heads-up match, so it's very good timing.
So we can talk about heads-up matches.
Yeah.
So what kind of adjustments do you have to make when you're playing heads-up, specifically in a cash game?
Well, it's a different kind of poker. Basically, those starting hands play pretty close to each other's, like mathematically,
okay.
and it's pretty simple in my opinion. It's not in ring game. You get into situations where a lot of people call and especially limit. There's all kind of different situations where you need to really know where you're standing, and now you just have to figure out where is other person, what is he holding, and what should I say? Position is playing a big part. Almost all the heads-up games, you play a lot of hand from the position, and out of position you try to play very good hands. Well, it's just I could talk forever, but I don't know. It's
well, why do you think? What part of your game has helped you to be so successful, specifically heads-up?
Just I would say the main thing is that I figure out very fast how the other person is playing,
all right.
And then it's the aggressiveness too, that you want to be aggressive, but then people usually they don't realize when you really put more money in the pot, you usually have a very big hand that they easily overplay hands like top pair with no kicker and some other hands because they think it's heads up. Like, why would this guy? He's not gonna have. What are the chances he has a better hand than this?
Right.
And so there's also a lot of trapping and just a lot of bluffing too. Like,
how often do you have to bluff?
I would say you have to bluff. I don't even know. Maybe 40%. No, I mean not 40%. Maybe 20-30% of the hands you
right.
make a. I don't know. Well, it's not bluffing. Sometimes you bet your queen high on the flop and it's the best hand. Someone folds a reverse hand and you just don't want to, you don't want to check it to let the other guy, try to bluff it or anything. There's a lot of kind of stuff you can. Since there's no big hands, there's a lot of kind of plays as well that sometimes I might bet the flop if I have a position and the other person check raises me, and if I just think if he doesn't have a strong hand, I just call him, and I still might call him on a turn with nothing, and then even on a river if he bets, I might move all in. Like, it's just
really,
since you can do a lot of stuff because of you just have to figure out how the other person is playing. And against bad players, I don't obviously bluff as much, and against good players, it's a little different game. Like, they also know what am I capable of doing, and so on.
So do you 3-bet your opponents a lot? Do you think that's really important when you're playing heads up?
Out of position, I don't do it too much, in fact. I think I play a lot of hands. I play more the hands than these very heads up specialists online. They like to play very tight out of position, and since I play more hands with them, I also call pretty much with kings or aces and in hold'em, and so they never know whenever I have a big hand, and sometimes I raise with 5-6 or queen 8 and
keep them guessing.
Yeah, and and I'm not always betting that. If I 3-bet the flop, I just many times I check, and it's just just cat and mouse games, like
definitely.
Just every pot is a different situation.
Well, in any cash game, if you go on tilt, you can lose a lot of money. But if you're playing heads up, you can lose a lot of money. So how do you avoid tilting when you're playing heads up, especially against a player that maybe isn't as good as you, and you just get frustrated?
Well, how do you avoid tilting? First of all, the heads up is very. It can be very tilting, and some people might take it personally as well. And since there's a lot of, you have to play those bad hands, and you have to all the time, like, you never have anything very big, so you might, some people might feel that it's a lot of pressure to play all the time these hands, and they might get into a little steam and stuff like that, but I don't know. I mean, I steam so much I can't even describe, but it doesn't really.
It doesn't affect.
It doesn't really affect the way I play too much. Sometimes I'm more likely to make a crazy play like bluff big if I'm a little bit steaming, but it's a different kind of tilting than other people when they just start raising every hand and like check raising every flop.
If you get stacked in the game, is it a good idea to reload if you think that you are better than your opponent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just you
like,
don't want.
When is enough enough?
Well, with me, I don't want to scare my opponent sometimes away. Like some people want to play short money on the table, and whenever they double up, and if I keep buying the same, they just quit or something. But I mean, it's a bankroll management as well. Like I mean, if you play too big, you don't want to buy as big, and some people play much better if there's a short stack heads up like that, and some people I would like to have as much money as like almost unlimited stacks that you can always make sure that you have money, even raise the river no matter, like there's never all in on a turn or that's the best part of poker. The river is the most important. That's I think that's the biggest difference with good players and very good players. If you play deep stack, there's always the most money on the river in, right? So then there's the biggest decision if you decide to check raise the guy, or maybe you want to bet 50,000, or maybe you want to check call, let the guy bluff, and it's value betting is very very important on the river, and that's a big difference I think with good players and very good players.
Well, what factors come into play when you're deciding what to do on the river? What do you consider?
Well, first of all, you have to figure out that what does your opponent have. If you know that okay, you bet the turn and the third spade came on a river, but you made a full house. He made a flush, so it's a good spot to check raise if you know the guy's paying you out, because many times if you bet, he's not going to raise it with the flush. And so first you need to know what he has, and sometimes you think if he misses, you let him bluff. Many times the checking is a good thing, because you give your opponent a chance to bluff, or then they still might value better a hand which doesn't beat your hand, So.
And they expect you to play aggressively if you have a
Yeah,
hand.
sometimes I like to check big hands on the river because exactly they can value better worse hand betting, like almost a pot size better, or then they can still bluff you. And sometimes you want to just make a little teasing bet, like even a half a pot or less, and get a little, sometimes people, they get irritated, they bluff you, they think you're weak when you bet so small, and just sometimes you want to, make. Many times I bet like 70%, 75% of the pot, and sometimes I have air, just test them that if they have anything, and many times I have just a little bit of hand that they have, and they call me. And it's just, just knowing what your opponent usually has, and based on that you can make the right bet.
What about game selection? How does that come into play when you're playing heads up? Or will you take any comers?
Game selection?
Yeah, how do you decide who to play heads up in what games?
How do I? Well, I've been just playing every single person the last 4 years, but this is how I think about it. I just wrote a blog as well. I don't know if I put that there, but anyways, I think about it like this: that if you want to be a very, very good player, okay, if you play a person who is for some reason he's better than you in some game, okay, he's gonna beat you for a little money, but if you're a good player, you're gonna learn from him. So you're gonna remember and learn how he beats you, how he played his hands, why you couldn't do anything for him, and so next time you play these other players, and you might beat them because of that, and in future you get better. So in future you're gonna make better results, in my opinion, and.
So it's worth the money you could lose.
Yeah. So I played a long time ago when the games weren't that big. I played with purpose. I played better players because I wanted to learn. It was pretty cheap in those days, I think, and I learned so fast from them, and I started to beat them very soon, and that's how I just never I never played. I always play the biggest games I found online and nowadays live too. And I just play. I like the challenge, and I don't mind being a bad game. I would say that I learn if I'm in a bad game. I would learn from the other person. And I don't know if you have a bankroll issue that you don't want to afford it. It's just play your limits and. Just everybody has their own limit. If you have a 10,000 bankroll, maybe you can take a shot with playing a good guy that you can lose whatever $300, $400, $500. I don't know. Just don't put your whole money in one session or
Definitely.
a couple of sessions. And but it's just what can I say? That's how I think about it. I think I have a pretty good edge with. I'm not gonna even talk about edge because I hate this. I don't really like this nowadays. These all these players who think about the edge, thinking about all the mathematic things, and I think if you're really a good poker player, you leave the math a little bit less, and you're more focused for your opponents. How do they play, and that's how you would do it. I would really like to see how these online kids nowadays how would they do live if you would play big cash games, big heads up or sort of games.
How do you think
I would just really like to see how they play, because there's more tells. You can really feel much more like I play more. How would I put it? Like I really online I fold so many hands that I can call on more likely live because I really feel that if the guy's very weak, and online you don't get very big tells. So
right.
So live you can really I can play worse hands than live online. I mean, because I can and I can make
you have more information. At
yeah,
that point.
And I can make more crazier calls as well. And,
well, if you're playing heads up against a player that's kind of nitty, should you just be relentlessly aggressive, or what's the best strategy there?
Yeah, but I usually I'm more aggressive than the other person, and but I also realize that if they're very needy, they play very tight, and once in a while they raise me. It's easy to lay down decent hands, and then I also understand that they are not stupid, so they have to use that image. So I might even call them make a crazy call on them because they cannot make money on the big levels just playing very tight and raising all the mid hands. They have to bluff as well, and it's just all about how you think the other guy is playing.
What types of mistakes do you spot players making when they're playing heads up?
Nowadays, these kids don't make too many mistakes.
Really?
I would just say it's sometimes the biggest mistakes that they just bluff with no pair, no draw. Like I like to usually have if I'm bluffing all the way, I usually like to have a straight or a flush or something.
With some outs.
Some outs, yeah. That I'm not bluffing with undercards with no pair, no draw, and just making 3 bullets and I just think those crazy, you don't really need to make those.
It's just too
those
risky.
those very big pots with trying to. If you're a good player, you can win the money other way as well, and sometimes they just overplay their big hands too much. They I don't know. It's just lately these people definitely have improved a lot.
So have you had to improve as well?
Hopefully I am. I haven't really been tested lately too much. People don't play me at least too long. Sometimes
really?
They play me, but I would like to really sit down and play some guy, 4 or 5 hours straight, and to see how it goes. Because then you really, get into other person's head, and if you play 30 minutes, you just
it's hard to
getting start. You
quickly,
just getting start to feel the game and what's going on. How's the other person approaching the game today, and I played this one guy a month ago, a 10-hour heads-up session or something, and I couldn't beat him in a decently low level. So that's good advertising for the hire.
Who is that?
I don't even know. Some guy from Denmark. We played when I was in Europe in
right.
Martin's poker before I signed with Full Tilt, and he played pretty good. He beat me, but he won all the big hands as well. But it was for a long time. I had someone playing me like 10 hours straight.
Who would you most like to play heads up right now if you had the option? And how much money would you want to put on the table?
That's a tough question. There's so many people that I would really like to play.
You can give me a top 3 if you want.
It's not even like, don't get me wrong, like it's not an ego thing with me. Mm-hmm. I would just like to have action.
You like the challenge?
I just like action, you know. Like there's nothing ego like if I lose, what's the deal? If I win, it's not a big deal. But I wanna gamble. I wanna play big. And at the moment, there's no one to really play. It's just Phil Ivey is one of the guys who really, he doesn't how you say jacked up against anyone. But he hasn't played much poker lately either. And we haven't played for a long time either. And
you spend your time on the golf course now?
Well, I don't know who should I say. There's just a lot of anyone is good. Anyone who just plays decently high and
anyone.
Anyone.
All right. Well, thanks so much.
And it's all about the action. It's not nothing else.
I understand. Thank you very much for coming up to talk to me today.
Thanks a lot.
Lizzie Harrison with the newest team Full Tilt member Patrik Antonius for Card Player TV.